Hello there, Taylor T. Carlson here, and it's live stream time again. Unfortunately, I was not able to do my live stream yesterday because I had to do an errand for my parents, but now I'm back at my place and we're ready to roll. I ran out of Star Wars Insider magazine, so today we're moving on to Game Informer, this being the magazine that people who were subscribed to GameStop's frequent buyer program got. I have literally not opened this magazine in probably almost 20 years, so I have no idea what's in here, what Game Informer covers specifically, outside of the fact that they're a video game magazine. But I'm really eager to crack this open, check it out, and see where we go. Here's the front cover. Got an ad for a Call of Duty game. What does it say down under here? The most intense first-person shooter we have ever seen. Yeah, Call of Duty 4. I think they still make Call of Duty games, if I'm not mistaken. I'm a little behind on things. They got ads up here for The Last Remnant and Splinter Cell Conviction. Inside the front cover, they have an ad for a Honda Fit. Nintendo Power never advertised cars, so clearly Game Informer's trying to reach an audience that had more money in their pockets, apparently. Here's an ad for a Tom Clancy Rainbow Six game. Rainbow Six Vegas, actually. Las Vegas, my hometown. So some of those monuments there certainly look familiar to me. And here there's another two-page spread. This is for a game for the PS2 called Dawn of Mana. I'm guessing this is probably like a sequel to Secret of Mana that was on the Super Nintendo. I'm not sure how many games are in that series, or even if it really is a series. So that's another one I'm not totally sure about. Wow, we got a lot of two-page spread ads here. Looks like Game Informer's pretty heavy with ads. Here's an ad for a game called Alien Syndrome. Looks like this is on the PlayStation, PSP, Wii. Table of contents on this side, and then on this side there's an ad for something for the PS3 called Lair. Kind of a vague ad with the shadow of a dragon. Actually kind of look like the way that looks. Here's a list of the staff that work for Game Informer. I mean, oddly, it kind of looks like they have an all-male staff. I don't really think that would fly in 2024. And then, ironically, it's right across the page from a Tomb Raider ad. How many Tomb Raider games are there now? Funnily, I've seen the Tomb Raider movies, but I don't think I've ever played a single one of the games. Yeah, GI Spy. Looks like some of the staff just doing their social stuff. One of the staff members looks like had a baby. That baby would probably be of legal age now. That's how old this magazine is. Again, this magazine came out in 2007. There's an ad here for a Shadowrun game. Yeah, questions that matter. And then there's like a GI community here. Are you gonna buy Xbox 360 Elite? Yeah, one person says that they mentioned Blue Dragon, which is a game that was created by Akira Toriyama, the guy that created Dragon Ball and did the monsters and characters for Dragon Quest. Then there's some other kind of silly things here, like someone asks who would win a fight between Master Chief and Kratos. There's an ad here for a Dell PC. I've never really been much of a PC gamer. I mean, I did play Doom and You Don't Know Jack on the PC way back in the day, but that's about as far as I went down that rabbit hole. Here they got some more issues and art from people. There's an ad for a freestyle street basketball game here as well. It's still moving. Capcom brings Resident Evil to Wii. So this is like the Wii port of Resident Evil 4, it looks like. The top 10 worst licensed game ideas. And they got like a Trolls game here. They got Yo Noid for the NES, which is actually some Japanese ninja game. They just slapped the Noid in. They got a California Raisins game here. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, which ironically is about Michael Jackson rescuing children. I mean, I don't know if that has ever been considered a good idea. I mean, the creators of The Simpsons basically canceled the episode Michael Jackson did a guest voice in for that very reason. And then they have Shaq Fu, the infamous Shaquille O'Neal fighting game here. And on this side, there's an ad for Monster Madness. Yeah, staring down the uncanny valley when realistic is too real. So, looks like this is some stuff on, virtual reality and early stuff like that. Console confusion, keeping up with all the different editions of consoles. Right around the time that really started heavily becoming a thing. And then there's an ad on the other side for the Marines. So I guess even the armed forces advertised in this magazine, interestingly enough. Kind of funny to do readings for Nintendo Power and then do Game Informer and see, like, Game Informer, how much wider the scope of ads are. Yeah. The big questions: is the PS3 already lost? Is PC gaming dead? Yeah. Does raw power matter in the console war? Are console exclusives always bad for gamers? Can anyone make good Wii games other than Nintendo? Did Wii Online get a free pass? Is Microsoft ripping you off? Is the PSP a failure? Will downloadable content replace retail? And then there's the beginnings of a bigger ad here. The most dynamic swordplay ever. Devastating varieties of multiple character attacks. Ruthless and notorious villains from pirate lore. And then we'll flip this page and see what that ad is for. This is for... Oh, and you get to be Jack Sparrow, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Because this would have been right around the time that that movie came out. Third movie in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. And anytime there's a big movie, there's going to be game adaptations of it. Yeah. Yeah, loose talk. We're talking about, Guitar Hero here. There's a Name That Game section. Fallout 3 mentions that Liam Neeson did some voice acting. Yeah, Circle of Life, talking about console lifespans. There's an ad here for Ballpark Franks. Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Talking about just various things on consoles. Yes, Sarah Chudley, commercial director, Bizarre Creations, talking about this company and the stuff they did. Hour of Victory for Xbox. Not familiar with this particular game. Looks like, based on the airplanes here, this might be like a World War II game. Yeah. On display, look at some monitors that they rated. There's an ad here for AVG Internet Security. A lot of these companies are advertising. I wonder if they're still around. There's a Halo 3 Zune. Remember the Zune music players from back in the day? There's an ad here for Jamster Games. Telling stories in and out of games. Eric Nyland, author, Halo Ghosts of Onyx, and Mortal Coils. On this side, there's an ad for a Dot Hack game. Another one of those series that's been around for a long time. I don't think I've ever actually played one of the games, though. Game called Odin Sphere being advertised. And here there's like a calendar of releases and anniversaries and so forth. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, so this is the cover story. They got a blurb here for Call of Duty 3, which was the previous game in the series. More Call of Duty. Even more Call of Duty. Looks like they gave a lot of pages to this game, so I know that series is a pretty big deal. And here they got a vertical 2-page spread. Call of Juarez. Looks like this was a Western-themed game. I know they had that other Western series, the Red Dead series. I'm not sure if this predates that or not. I don't really have a good timetable in my head of when all those started. Got to make sure I'm flipping the pages the right way now. There's a game called The Last Remnant. Never played this one. A lot of stuff in here I'm not familiar with. Again, I did those Nintendo Power readings. They only cover Nintendo, obviously, but Game Informer covers, like all the consoles that were around at the time. Again, this issue's from 2007. Here's a further look at that Last Remnant game. Yeah, more of the last... Oh, looks like Chris is online. Hey there. Hey back. Hope you're doing good. More here on the same game. How are you doing today? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And I hope you and Debbie are doing well, too. Here's an ad for Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction, Reborn Identity. And if I'm not mistaken, Tom Clancy died, but I think they're still making those games. More of the Tom Clancy stuff here. Even more. Rise of the Argonauts. So it's like this is like a Greek mythology type thing. This actually looks pretty interesting. Okay, to please a god, together or alone. More of this game. I never heard of this one before, so I wonder if this was a pretty big deal when it came out. And right here they have an ad. How is your weather? It's actually bright, sunny, no clouds in the sky, no wind. A little cold, but it's actually a pretty nice day. Yeah, here's an ad for a Golden Compass game. I remember I saw that movie back in the day. Like, I believe it's based on a series of books, but they only ended up ever making the first movie. And yeah, Daniel Craig was in it, who at the time was also playing James Bond. And movie adaptations are often questionable, but I wonder if that was a good one or not. Here's something called Spore, which is for the PC. Again, I never really did a whole lot of PC gaming in my life outside of Doom and You Don't Know Jack. Ace Combat 6, Fires of Liberation. So this looks like an air combat game. And yeah, if you've ever watched my channel or any of my other videos, I talk about airplane stuff a lot. My dad's actually a retired airline pilot, and so I've had a lot of aviation stuff around all my life. And this stuff's always fascinating. Looks like a pretty good variety of planes here. I see like an A-10, I think it's an F-22, F-15. I think that's some kind of MiG. Yeah. Here's an ad for a Warhammer game, and there's also an ad for a Bowflex home gym. So again, just going to show how far and diverse the ads are that they put in Game Informer back in the day. Here we have some more previews. We've got NASCAR 08, and we have Tiger Woods PGA Tour 08. Yeah, are they still making Tiger Woods golf games? Because didn't he have some scandal or something a long time ago? I don't know. I don't really keep up with the tabloid world too much. But I remember there was a Tiger Woods game they advertised on Cartoon Network all the time back in the day, but that would have been a few years before this. And then here's an ad for a game called The Darkness, and there's an ad here for Navy SEALs. So we already had the Marines in this issue, and now we've got the Navy. So I wonder if we're going to get like ads for the Army or the Air Force before this magazine's done with. And I'm just joking, of course. I mean, I have nothing but the utmost respect for people out there who serve our country. You have my thanks and my respect. Okay, right here we have The Club. And there's something called The Knight's Journey of Dreams for the Wii. That was like a sequel to that Nights into Dreams game they had on the Sega Saturn back in the day. Unfortunately, the Sega Saturn really tanked in America. It was overtaken by the PlayStation. But there were a lot of gems on that system. Sadly, I myself never owned one. Here's an ad for a Ratchet and Clank game, and then there's also an ad for Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Do they still make Ratchet and Clank games? That's a good question, because that's a series I haven't heard that name in a while. But I remember it was a big deal back in the day. There's an ad for a Tenchu game here. That's like a series of like ninja or samurai games. I remember they were a pretty big deal back in the day. And then there's an ad over here for looks like a PSA about not getting high, not being influenced by people. I remember back in the day they had like the Truth campaign and all those anti-drug things. So I guess it's not uncommon to see that stuff pop up in magazines from this era. Here's an ad for a game called Time Shift. And there's an ad for a game called Crackdown. If I'm not mistaken, Crackdown was kind of like Grand Theft Auto, but you were more of like a vigilante rather than a criminal. Got some more ads here. We got, Empire Earth 3, Grimoire, and Odin Sphere. I think they were talking about Odin Sphere earlier in the issue, or there might have been an ad. Yeah. We got Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. I guess that would be a movie tie-in game because that's around the time that movie came out. Fantastic Four, unfortunately, have never done very well on the big screen. There was that unreleased Roger Corman movie back in the mid-90s. Then there were the 2 movies they did with this cast that included the likes of Jessica Alba and Michael Chiklis. And then they did that reboot that was really terrible in the around 2015 that had Michael B. Jordan in it. Fortunately, Michael B. Jordan, his career was saved because Creed came out a few months later. And then he redeemed himself in comic book movies by playing Killmonger in Black Panther. We got an ad over here for Ninja Gaiden Sigma. They revived the Ninja Gaiden brand and put out several of those games. I'd love to get like a new Ninja Gaiden game that's kind of like somewhere in between the old NES games and the revamped ultra-violent sequels, but you never know. I know they got something that says "I'm a geek." Looks like this is like a college where like they want you to go there and study game design. Kind of like those Nintendo Powers, they had DigiPen advertised in them, so this must be like another similar school. Here's some reviews. Beginning of the reviews section, they discussed their system here. They mentioned Pokemon Diamond and Pearl here, which were the first games that had like online trading, first games for the DS. So those were a step forward for the series, of course. Here we got reviews for something called Raw Danger, which only got a 4.5 out of, I'm assuming it's out of 10. And then there's an ad here for Atelier or Atelier Iris 3 Grand Phantasm. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. There's an ad for a Forza game for the Xbox on the other side. And it looks like each of these have a smaller blurb that's a second opinion review. Although it looks like for the most part these are kind of similar. Here we got an ad for Super Paper Mario, which got a 9.5 from both the main reviewer and the second opinion. There's an ad for Heat Seeker. Looks like that's an air combat game. And then Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Of course, I don't really need to explain what Mortal Kombat is to anyone. And there's an ad here. Looks like this is for Call of Duty. A little extra paper thing there. There's a Rayman game, something called Monster Madness Battle for Suburbia, and there's a Command and Conquer game. Do they still make Command and Conquer games? That's a good question. I remember my buddy that used to live out here that I grew up with, he was really into real-time strategy games, and he played Command and Conquer all the time. Here we have Infernal, Touch the Dead, and Brooktown High. Touch the Dead, if I'm not mistaken, that was the House of the Dead game for the Nintendo DS that used the touchscreen. It looks like it did fairly well in terms of reviews. 7 and a 6.25. Something called Brooktown High for the PSP. That actually looks kind of interesting. I don't know if that's like something like Bully or what, but might have to look more into that. Of course, a lot of stuff on the PSP is kind of forgotten because the PSP was never the massive success that Sony was hoping for. We got like Etrian or Etrian Odyssey, however you say that, Zendoku, Adis Eclipse, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Diner Dash, Death Jr. and the Science Sphere of Doom, Time Ace. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl got 8.25 and 8.5. They also rate stuff based on the replay value here, and like Pokemon Diamond and Pearl got a moderately high there, so that's good. Here is a reviews archive section. And like one of the best-selling games here is We Play, and they're saying like, we're sure it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that buying this game is basically the only way to get an extra Wii controller right now. Not a chance. I remember I used to sell stuff on Amazon, and I sold my copy of We Play without the remote, and I advertised it as such. And some guy bought it from me and got pissed at me when the remote wasn't included, even though I specifically said that it wasn't in the listings. And I had a lot of issues with this with people on Amazon, so eventually I stopped selling on there just because people are morons and don't know how to read. Here's an ad for a Full Sail. This is like another one of those game design schools. I wonder how many of those game design schools are even still in business after the pandemic and everything. Yeah, secret access. Looks like this is secret codes for games. Nintendo Power had a similar section called classified information. There's an ad over here for Collins College. They're really pushing all the game design schools in here. Yeah, classic GI, the Forgotten Sims. These are just like various games in the Sim series, like Sim City. And then they got that, newer PC game called The Sims. I guess that's probably been around for like 15 years or so, but my ex-girlfriend played the hell out of that back in the day. There's a Sim Golf, Sim Safari, Sim Park. Most of these I've never even heard of, so that's kind of interesting. They got an ad here for Castlevania Chronicles for the, this was on the PS1 actually, which is interesting. Actually, retro rating, so this would have come out around probably 2001 or so. Yeah, Redneck Rampage, The Game of Harmony. So these are games they reviewed a few years ago and we're giving a second opinion on. Ads for the next issue. Yeah, speaking of Castlevania, they got that Castlevania Nocturne series on Netflix. I need to catch up on that. I watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes when I was out of town because there's a Netflix connection up at my grandma's house in Utah. So next time I get back up there, I'm going to have to binge the rest of that. There's a video game trivia section here, and I'm not going to go through and name off all the questions. And then on the other side, there's an ad for the U.S. Army. So that's like 3 of the branches of the U.S. military were represented in this issue in ads. I think the Air Force was the only one I didn't see an ad for. Okay, and that's the end of this issue of Game Informer. I do have 2 other issues, so the next few live streams, I'll plan on doing those. Now, my next live stream, I'm going to go back to Saturday. I did it on Sunday this week just because, again, I had to help my parents out with something yesterday. And I want to try to keep this slot consistent for when I'm doing live streams and everything. And that's that. So next week, we're going to be looking at the next Game Informer. This one's from... what is the date? This is from July 2007, issue 171. So literally the very next issue in the line. So does anyone have any parting shots, anything game-related they saw on the issue they want to talk about or mention? Looks like it's pretty quiet on the live stream today, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I had to push it back a day. But again, next week, 12 o'clock, Saturday, the normal time. So just keep that in mind if you do want to tune in. I will be back on my normal day, and I'm going to try to keep that consistent going forward. Luckily, I do have a job now where I work traditional hours, so I have weekends off, so that shouldn't be much of an issue going forward. Anyway, I'm going to end the live stream at this time. Didn't look like there were a whole lot of people that tuned in, probably because of the confusion due to the different days. So again, if you tuned in, thank you very much. Thanks for supporting my channel. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel because I'm always posting new reviews, unboxings, and things. I mainly do movie reviews and unboxings, but I also do music reviews. Sometimes I do game reviews. And as you've seen, I do these magazine readings for my live streams as well. So anyway, this has been Taylor T. Carlson. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you guys next week for the next issue of Game Informer.